March 2, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Ohio State quarterback Dwayne Haskins, QB05, runs the 40-yard dash during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Mandatory credit: Brian Spurlock, USA Today Sports. Brian Spurlock, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter. Archive: Eli Manning is not going to play forever, even though it sometimes feels that way. And though the Giants won't dismiss the idea of him still being their quarterback in 2020, their ideal scenario remains finding his successor right now. So who can they get? For this year, there seem to be only 6 possibilities, using either of their 2 picks in the first round of the NFL Draft, or maybe through a trade. Here's an early ranking of the contenders based on the likelihood that they'll end up as the Giants' guy. 1. Josh Rosen. Is he even available? The Giants weren't sure as of last week, and the suspicion is that any move by the Cardinals to really shop Rosen won't happen until closer to the draft. Until then, all everyone is left with are rumors that they're taking Oklahoma QB Kyler Murray. No. 1. If they do, and only if they do, they'll deal Rosen. The Patriots and Chargers are reportedly interested too. It's hard to believe the Giants' 3rd-round pick, 95th overall, would be enough to get him, but their 2nd-round pick, 37th, could do it. That's a steal for a franchise quarterback. And many people around the league think that A, he will be available at some point, and B, the Giants could get him for that price. 2. Dwayne Haskins. The Giants have dug into Haskins a lot since this process began, and they seem to be impressed with everything they've found. The 6'3", 231-pounder is the best pocket passer in the draft, has a big arm, is smart and charismatic, would seem to be a good face of the franchise. Do the Giants like him enough to take at 6? That's still unknown, but if they do take a quarterback there, he'd be the likely choice. The Ohio State product won't be around at 17. The Giants seem to be leaning towards taking a defensive player at 6, but he's too big of a talent to rule out yet. 3. Daniel Jones. A lot of people around the league suddenly think the Giants are the perfect match for Jones, though that might be because of the easy comparisons to Eli Manning, since both were coached by David Cutcliffe, Manning at Ole Miss, Jones at Duke. Jones is big, 6'5", 221, and polished, and scouts love his accuracy even though his arm strength isn't in the top tier. Some do think he's more of a round 2 prospect, but quarterbacks tend to rise late and it only takes one team to like him. The Giants and Pat Shurmur have had a long relationship with Cutcliffe, and if his recommendation is strong enough, that could sway the Giants to be that one team. 4. Drew Lock. Generally he's thought to be a better talent than Jones and a better fit at 17. Some think he's much more likely to land in the top 10. The 6'4", 228-pounder draws more comparisons to Jay Cutler than Eli Manning. He's got a big arm, but scatters the ball a little much for the taste of some. It's hard to say if the Giants think they can rein in those tendencies. Someone will, though, and his skills might mean he'll be gone somewhere between the Giants' 2 picks. 5. Kyler Murray. They have done their due diligence on Murray, but an organization that has long been married to measurables still seems unlikely to gamble an early pick on a 5 to 10 quarterback. There also still seems to be a pretty good chance that Murray either goes number 1 to the Cards, no. 4 to the Raiders, or a team trades up with the Jets to no. 3 to grab him. If he's sitting there, would the Giants grab him? Not over Haskins. Probably not over a top defender. Regardless, the world will likely never get the chance to know. 6. Will Grier. A bit of a dark horse at 17, but the Giants seemed to have him in their group of top quarterbacks in this draft, even though many scouts think he's a day 2 talent. He's got good size, 6'2", 217. He's incredibly confident, bordering on cocky, but his teammates apparently loved him. He can be a bit of a gambler with his throws. Really struggled at the Senior Bowl, which the Giants and Shurmur put a lot of stock in. There's a lot to like though, if they look beyond that week. New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley celebrates after scoring a touchdown against the Washington Redskins in a second quarter at FedEx Field. Jeff Burke, USA Today Sports. Eli Manning isn't the only one who's thrown a touchdown pass to Giants running back Saquon Barkley. Barkley caught a touchdown pass from free agent quarterback Colin Kaepernick on Sunday at a charity flag football game hosted by rapper Quavo. October 11, 2018, East Rutherford, NJ, USA, New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. 13, walks off the field after a 34-13 loss to the Philadelphia Eagles at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit, Danielle Parhiskaran /NorthJersey.com via USA Today Network. Danielle Parhiskaran, donning a bright orange Browns cap, Odell Beckham Jr. addressed the Cleveland media for the first time since being traded by the Giants. Beckham sat right in between his new quarterback Baker Mayfield and his longtime friend and wide receiver Jarvis Landry, as he reflected on the moment he got the call from GM Dave Gettleman that he was traded. He said he was eating dinner when his phone rang, and he admitted, "I knew something was going down. I definitely would say that it did." Beckham told reporters when asked if he was surprised. "It's just a lot to process. You start off in New York in your career, and the next thing you know you're here today. I think I've come to grips with everything and processed everything. To see my guys here, I'm excited about this." March 3, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Ohio State defensive lineman Nick Bosa, DL25, goes through workout drills during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brian Spurlock. USA Today Sports. Brian Spurlock, Ohio State. Nick Bosa is regarded as the top pass rusher in the NFL draft, and he will meet with the Giants on Tuesday, per Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. It is not likely Bosa will fall to the Giants at the No. 6 pick in the draft, but Big Blue has glaring holes to address on defense, particularly the pass rush. After trading Olivier Vernon to the Browns, the Giants are likely doing their due diligence by meeting with Bosa, whom they would likely need to trade up to select. March 3, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Louisiana State linebacker Devin White, LB41, goes through workout drills during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brian Spurlock. USA Today Sports. Brian Spurlock. The NFL Draft is less than a month away, and the Giants will be putting together official visits for some of the top prospects they're interested in adding to their big board at the end of April. One of those players is LSU LB Devin White, who told NOLA.com on Sunday that he will have a pre-draft visit with the Giants. He also mentioned the Buccaneers, who owned a No. 5 pick before the Giants' 6th overall selection, and the Bengals' No. 11 pick will host him as well. White is considered by many to be the top linebacker in this draft class, with Michigan's Devin Bush also at the top of the heap. The Giants certainly need to upgrade their second tier, especially on the outside. White, though, is an inside linebacker that would be projected to take the starting role from B.J. Goodson if the Giants were to bring him aboard. Alec Ogletree, a defensive captain, would be next to him. March 1, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Duke quarterback Daniel Jones, QB07, speaks to media during the 2019 NFL Combine at the Indiana Convention Center. Mandatory credit, Trevor Rishkovsky. USA Today Sports. Trevor Rishkovsky. With the Giants controlling the 6th and 17th overall picks in the NFL Draft, there's no doubt the organization is at least considering selecting a quarterback at either spot. One such option is former Duke QB Daniel Jones, who would make more sense at No. 17 if the Giants opt to address another need at No. 6. Two NFL analysts, ESPN's Dan Orlovsky and NBC's Chris Sims, divulged their respective opinions on Jones last week to Ryan Dunleavy of NJ.com. Here are some interesting quotes from the piece that provide possible insight into how teams are evaluating him with less than a month before the draft. September 8, 2018, Houston, Texas, USA. Houston Cougars defensive tackle Ed Oliver, 10, in action during the game against the Arizona Wildcats at TDECU Stadium. Mandatory credit, Troy Tormina. USA Today Sports. Troy Tormina. The Giants and Jets are both targeting to improve their defensive front in the NFL draft next month, and one prospect may have just flew onto their radars: Ed Oliver, a 6'2", 281-pound defensive lineman from the University of Houston, wowed scouts and coaches from all 32 NFL teams at his pro day on Thursday by running his 40-yard dash between 4.71 and 4.73 and a 20-yard short shuttle time of 4.19 seconds, which clocks in faster than Saquon Barkley's 4.24 short shuttle last year, with the No. 6th pick in the NFL draft. The Giants appear to already have their eye on Oliver and will host him for a top 30 visits at their team facilities in East Rutherford, according to Matt Lombardo of NJ Advance Media. New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. catches the ball during warm-ups before facing the New Orleans Saints at MetLife Stadium. Danielle Parhaskaran, USA Today Sports. Before trading Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns, the Giants were trying to pry the No. 2 pick away from the San Francisco 49ers. Niners GM John Lynch revealed some insight into those negotiations on Friday, telling KNBR that having the No. 2 pick made it difficult to reach a deal with the Giants for Beckham. I think, ironically, the fact that we had the No. 2 pick made it more difficult because they wanted that badly, he said. They wanted 2 no ones and we weren't willing to part with that. It was too valuable of a pick. September 16, 2018, Arlington, Texas, USA. New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley, 26, and quarterback Eli Manning, 10, on the field before the game against the Dallas Cowboys at it. Mandatory credit: Tim Heitman, USA Today Sports. Tim Heitman, Saquon Barkley doesn't want to hear anyone complaining about Eli Manning, either. The Giants made a few controversial moves this offseason that has forced many to question if there really is a plan in East Rutherford. And while Landon Collins walked and Odell Beckham Jr. was surprisingly traded to the Browns, the team has shown continued faith in Manning. Manning is no stranger to fans wanting him to call it quits, but Barkley is sick of hearing he can't play the game anymore. The rookie sensation didn't hold back when asked about it. March 1, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Duke quarterback Daniel Jones, QB07, speaks to media during the 2019 NFL Combine at the Indiana Convention Center. Mandatory credit: Trevor Rishkovsky, USA Today Sports. Trevor Rishkovsky, as the Giants search for Eli Manning's successor, they're doing their due diligence on the quarterbacks in the 2019 NFL draft class, and Pat Shurmur is going to get an up-close look at a possible first-round pick. Duke quarterback Daniel Jones will visit the Giants on Thursday for a private workout, a source told SNY's Ralph Bacchiano. Giants offensive coordinator Mike Shula was at Duke's pro day on Tuesday while Shurmur was at the NFL owners' meetings, so Shurmur will use Thursday as a chance to get his own look at Jones. Kirby, Ralph Bacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Phoenix. Perhaps you've heard, the Giants have a plan. They've been pretty insistent on that over the last week. Also, their purge of some of their most popular players was just business. It certainly wasn't personal with Odell Beckham, whom all the key people in the organization insist they genuinely like. All that, of course, is part of the company line. But what have we really learned about what the Giants think and are doing over the last 4 days? After speaking to co-owners John Mara and Steve Tisch, coach Pat Shurmur, and multiple sources inside and outside of the organization, here are 10 takeaways from the Giants' time at the NFL's annual owners' meetings at the Arizona Biltmore Hotel, February 27, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. New York Giants general manager Dave Gettleman speaks to the media during the 2019 NFL Combine at the Indianapolis Convention Center. Mandatory credit: Brian Spurlock, USA Today Sports. Brian Spurlock. Giants general manager Dave Gettleman continues to hit back at critics who say the team should move on from Eli Manning. Speaking on NFL Network's Good Morning Football on Wednesday, Gettleman once again came to Manning's defense and insists he can still get the job done at 38 years old. At the end of the day, you can't win without a quarterback. We all know it. It's just the way the game is built. You have to have a quarterback, Gettleman said. I really believe there's been a false narrative out there that Eli's finished, he's done. He had a heck of a year. We scored a lot of points late. New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning throws in a second quarter against the Tennessee Titans at MetLife Stadium. Robert Deutsch, USA Today Sports. 2 weeks after the Giants sent shockwaves throughout the NFL by trading Odell Beckham Jr., Eli Manning revealed who he feels is his most talented teammate ever, and you can definitely guess who it is. Asked on Wednesday to name the most talented player he's ever played with, Manning said, "Odell," according to Newsday's Neil Best. Manning was speaking at NYIT's Brain Injury Awareness Celebrity Sports Forum in Woodbury. According to Best, Manning was not made available to reporters after the event. December 30, 2018, Seattle, Washington, USA. Arizona Cardinals quarterback Josh Rosen, 3 passes against the Seattle Seahawks during the fourth quarter at CenturyLink Field. Mandatory credit, Joe Nicholson. USA Today Sports. Joe Nicholson, Phoenix. The Giants are planning to investigate every possible option when it comes to finding their quarterback of the future, and that includes a potential trade for Arizona Cardinals quarterback Josh Rosen. But here's the thing, at the moment they have no idea if Rosen is, or ever will be, available. And nothing that happened at the NFL owners' meetings this week has cleared that mystery up. January 20, 2019, New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. Los Angeles Rams defensive back nickel Roby Coleman, 23, breaks up a pass intended for New Orleans Saints wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis, 11, during the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game at Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Mandatory credit, Chuck Cook. USA Today Sports. Chuck Cook. The Saints finally get their vindication. The NFL approved a new rule on Tuesday to expand replay review to cover offensive and defensive pass interference, which will apply to both calls and non-calls. The reviews will be initiated by a coach's challenge. With the exception of the last 2 minutes of the half-hour game, in which a replay official will initiate the process. August 30, 2018, Detroit, Michigan, USA. Cleveland Browns defensive back Jabril Peppers, 22, looks to his right before the game against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field. Mandatory credit, Raj Mehta. USA Today Sports. Raj Mehta. The NFL requested 2 reports from Cleveland police last week for information involving Giants safety Jabril Peppers, one involving a stolen gun and the other a homicide of a 57-year-old woman. According to News 5 Cleveland, police said that Peppers is not a suspect in either incident. A police source told News 5 Cleveland that Peppers was only a victim of the gun theft. October 22, 2016, London, United Kingdom. New York Giants co-owner John Mara left, and quarterback Eli Manning during NFL fan rally at the Victoria House prior to Game 16 of the NFL International Series against the Los Angeles Rams. Mandatory credit, Kirby Lee. USA Today Sports. Kirby Lee, Phoenix. The Giants are not trying to rush Eli Manning out of their organization. That's not what their search for his successor is all about. And urgency they feel is all about taking advantage of all that Manning has to offer. They want their next franchise quarterback to learn from the master while he's still here. Well, I certainly believe that Eli does everything the right way behind the scenes, Pat Shurmur said at the annual NFL Coaches Breakfast on Tuesday morning. And I certainly believe that's something a young quarterback can value from seeing. That's part of Eli's charm, is how well he works, how well he prepares, how professional he is about doing his job. March 3, 2019, Indianapolis, Indiana, USA. Michigan defensive lineman Rashawn Gary, DL37, runs the 40-yard dash during the 2019 NFL Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium. Mandatory credit, Brian Spurlock. USA Today Sports. Brian Spurlock, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Phoenix. Pat Shurmur knows that time is running out on Eli Manning's career, and he'd like to find his successor, sooner rather than later. But the Giants don't feel any urgency to do it in this year's NFL Draft. Especially not with all the pass rushers and defensive players who could be available for them instead. Pat Schumer talks Odell. Draft 0 hours 1 minute and 45 seconds. New York Giants head coach Pat Schumer comments on the Odell Beckham Jr. trade and the talent level of the QBs in the 2019 NFL Draft. When it comes to who will succeed Eli Manning as the Giants quarterback, coach Pat Schumer agrees with his general manager Dave Gettleman. He'd rather find a solution sooner rather than later. While that's not necessarily a secret, Schumer did say at the NFL's owners' meetings on Tuesday in Arizona that he would like Manning's successor to learn from the 15-year veteran and play behind him for at least one season. Schumer also added that it wouldn't be Manning's job to train the future quarterback of the Giants. March 21, 2019, Columbia, Missouri, USA. Missouri Tigers quarterback Drew Lock 3 passes during Missouri Pro Day at Divine Indoor Pavilion. Mandatory credit. Jeff Curry. USA Today Sports. Jeff Curry. By this point in the lead-up to the NFL Draft, it's no secret the Giants have been linked to selecting a quarterback with the 6th overall selection. Most of that speculation, if general manager Dave Gettleman does opt to address the future of the quarterback position with the pick, has revolved around the Giants drafting Dwayne Haskins. But on Tuesday, NFL Network's Peter Schrager released a new mock draft with the Giants selecting a different signal caller. Schrager has the Giants taking former Missouri quarterback Drew Lock at that spot, with Haskins falling to the Broncos at no. 10, and reigning Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray going first overall to the Cardinals. January 27, 2019, Los Angeles, California, USA. New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. attends the game between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Phoenix Suns at Staples Center. Mandatory credit. Jane Kameen-Wunsa. USA Today Sports. Jane Kameen-Wunsa, at least one respected league veteran, believes a change of scenery will serve former Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. Well, Cardinals wideout Larry Fitzgerald, speaking at the NFL's owners' meetings on Monday in Arizona, said that although the trade that sent Beckham to the Browns caught him by surprise, the move can be great for him. Getting to a smaller city where there's just not as many distractions, he can focus on ball and really let his talents do the speaking for him. Fitzgerald told Cleveland.com. He's with that group with Jarvis Landry. Again, they went to college together, so that could be a great combination with a rising quarterback Baker Mayfield, as well. The NFL Shield logo on a football helmet. Adam Hunger. USA Today Sports Images. With player safety a continued emphasis for the NFL, owners held a pair of votes Tuesday to improve the game in that sense. The kickoff changes implemented last season, which eliminated wedge blocks, disallowed running start and instituted alignment regulation, was voted on and made permanent. According to the NFL, concussions decreased by 38% on kickoffs last year compared to 2015-17, December 30, 2018, East Rutherford, NJ, USA. New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning, 10, leaves the field after losing to the Dallas Cowboys 36-35 at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit. Danielle Parhaskaran /NorthJersey.com via USA Today Network. Danielle Parhaskaran, Phoenix. Dave Gettleman dreams of finding the Giants' next franchise quarterback, and ideally he'd have him sit and learn behind Eli Manning for a year. John Mara likes that idea too, but isn't opposed to waiting until 2020 to find that next quarterback too. By then, of course, Manning will be gone. Or maybe he won't be. In other words, a quarterback transition that should have been in the works for years still isn't finalized, and might not be for a while. October 22, 2016, London, United Kingdom. New York Giants co-owner John Mara left, and quarterback Eli Manning during NFL fan rally at the Victoria House prior to Game 16 of the NFL International Series against the Los Angeles Rams. Mandatory credit. Kirby Lee. USA Today Sports. Kirby Lee. Ralph Vacchiano. Facebook, Twitter. Archive. Phoenix. The Giants have committed to Eli Manning as their starting quarterback in 2019, but what about having him back in 2020, too? Don't laugh, because there's a scenario where it could happen that's not completely far-fetched. And it's worth noting that neither of the Giants co-owners would rule it out. Giants owners talk Odell 0 hours 1 minute and 38 seconds. SNY NFL insider Ralph Vacchiano reports from the NFL owners' meetings, where the Giants owners talked about the trade of Odell Beckham Jr. Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Phoenix. John Mara never once thought the Giants would actually trade Odell Beckham Jr. until just days before they actually did. And even in the final hour, he needed one last car ride home from the office before he gave his reluctant approval to the deal. And he only did because, despite Beckham's unique talent, Mara believes the Giants could be a better team in the future given what they received from the Cleveland Browns in return. John Mara, owner of the New York Giants, during a press conference at Quest Diagnostics Training Center to introduce Pat Shurmur as new head coach. No okay. Murray, USA Today Sports. Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Phoenix. Giants co-owner John Mara loves Eli Manning and everything he's done for the franchise. But the idea that he's keeping the 38-year-old quarterback around out of sentimentality, well, that really riles Mara up. October 11, 2018, East Rutherford, NJ, USA, New York Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. 13, dances during warm-ups before a game against the Philadelphia Eagles at MetLife Stadium. Mandatory credit. Brad Penner, USA Today Sports. Brad Penner, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Phoenix. There was no doubt Odell Beckham Jr. could be a headache for the Giants. He had a knack for creating unwanted headlines and distractions, and he was a lightning rod for controversy, much of which he created for himself. But co-owners John Mara and Steve Tisch wanted to make it very clear they genuinely liked their star receiver. They did not order GM Dave Gettleman to get rid of him. And they absolutely do not think that Beckham is a bad guy. New York Giants owner John Mara speaks during an NFL football news conference introducing Pat Shurmur as head coach of the Giants, Friday, Jan. 26, 2018, in East Rutherford, NJ. Shurmur, the former Minnesota Vikings offensive coordinator, was announced as the new coach less than 24 hours after he and the Vikings were beaten by the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC title game. The 52-year-old Shurmur replaces Ben McAdoo, who was fired in early December. AP photo, Julio Cortez, AP. Among NFL owners, John Mara clearly isn't afraid of bucking a trend. As members of the competition committee voted Sunday at the owners' meetings in Arizona on a motion that would replace onside kick attempts with a 4th and 15 down by the offense, the Giants owner was the lone dissenter in adopting the new rule, and he was quite emphatic in his stance. Kirby Lee, Ralph Vacchiano, Facebook, Twitter, Archive Phoenix. Dave Gettleman has dismantled a big chunk of the Giants roster, while spending the team's money in some odd places. He's left a fan base angry, confused, and beginning to lose patience and hope. In the end, though, Gettleman's plan only really needs the approval of his bosses, and it's safe to say that even though team ownership doesn't meddle in football decisions, co-owner John Mara would have had to approve most of these off-season moves. There's no way a big deal such as the Odell Beckham trade would have happened if ownership wasn't in on it from the start. October 15, 2017, Houston, Texas, USA, Cleveland Browns offensive guard Kevin Zeitler, 70, during the game against the Houston Texans at NRG Stadium. Mandatory credit. Kevin J. Raj, USA Today Sports. Kevin J. Raj. Before the Giants and Browns struck the trade of the offseason with Wr. Odell Beckham Jr. heading to Cleveland, they made another deal where Olivier Vernon was on his way as well. In that deal, the Giants got Kevin Zeitler in return, a right guard that would be plugged right into their offensive line next season. Zeitler didn't think he would be making the move, though.